Thank you. It's nearly the start of term. I've got my filmmaking, soon to be a psychotherapist outfit on.
Oh, this
So,
is...
so welcome.
Is this post-pandemic wear?
Yeah, if you
I
wouldn't,
like
yes,
this.
well, yeah, pre and post. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a seat, I'm going to get you to fill in a form, and we'll have a chat.
Look, does this mean I can no longer wear these around the house?
I must admit, I wish you kind of made an effort.
If you're going to be tightened up like that every day, I've got to get tough. I
Let's
have
have a look
got my
at the
new
two of us.
top on, which I love, because we've been doing bodyboarding.
What you meant there?
We've been doing bodyboarding in Cornwall, guys. Are you moving a bit much better now after the yoga?
Yeah, apart from my knee
We were in
popping.
agony.
Let's say good morning to you all. We've missed you so
We
much.
have missed you. So
We have missed you so much.
good morning. Okay. Sarah Smithard, Susan Wilson, Carol Naismith,
Carol, how are you, darling?
Emma McDonnell, Amy App, Sally O'Sullivan, Joe Pardon, Steffi Quinlan.
Alison Fisher, May Boo, Francois Camanzuli, Samantha O'Hanlon, Gabrielle, Jenny Fay, UK Life of Maisie, Lucy, Sarah Robinson, Gillian Barras, Lynn Aoki, Deborah Holdsworth, User One, Carol Gallagher, Mars Kid Gaming. Do you want to take over?
Leslie Sargent, Laura Bishop, Rosemary Cooley, Tyrrell Hamilton, Miss Soph, Ellery Jones,
Sally
Ronnie...
O'Sullivan.
No, because I'd already
Oh,
read
I
that
thought we'd
out.
missed you.
Ellery Jones, Ronnie Dodge, KJ, Amanda Clark, and Natasha Tirimos. We are so glad to be back, and we've had such a nice break that it's so good to have a break. We're kind of excited about doing Coffee Moaning.
It's so good. Sorry, just wanted to kick that to the back of the net because Ronnie Dodge has told us that Ronaldo's back at Manchester United.
So we've been to
Real.
Cornwall and we loved it. We had a great time. We feel so blessed. You've been watching the Norfolk vlogs, so you know what bad luck we had with Norfolk, and the weather was fucking horrible.
But they've all loved it. The Norfolk vlogs, they were entertaining. It was entertaining times. It was fun and it was nice. It was the only little bit of work that I was doing whilst we were off was getting those out for you guys. And we
sneaking off and editing. But guys, if you're new and you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, vlogs are our family reality show, and we went to Norfolk a few months ago, and that's just gone up. So if you want to, and now we're going to be fairly current with our.
Yeah, we're almost on top of things. Not quite, but we're almost. Obviously, we've got Chi-Chi illness and all that kind of stuff.
I don't like it when it's too far back.
Natasha Timros, please never stop doing Coffee Moaning. It wasn't the same without you. It was funny because there would be that moment in the morning where there would be a sort of, an absence, wouldn't there? There'd be something missing, and I'd lean over, I'd try and snog Nads. She was like, "No, there's something aggravating me," and it was Coffee Moaning.
We didn't know where we were. We
didn't know
who we
what we
were
were doing.
It was very strange.
JB, hello to Toronto.
It was Chloe Alwyn's 21st last night. Happy birthday to you, Chloe. Happy birthday to you, Chloe. Happy birthday, dear Chloe. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Claire. Chi-Chi is really good. She's really good. She's doing great.
Yeah, you may have seen we posted. I posted some images of her on my Instagram yesterday. Deborah Holdsworth says, "Morning, missed you guys. I've just come back from Cornwall on Sunday. Missing Cornwall. Can I please have a happy birthday? As my birthday was on the 26th." Deborah
Yes,
Holdsworth.
Deborah, we will sing you happy birthday at the end. We were saying, God, we didn't want to leave. My God.
It was busy.
It was very busy.
And of course, we were aware of all the stories of how Cornwall and Devon have been inundated. But, this idea that I think Cornwall and Devon have been hit with an enormous tourist push, which on the one hand is bad, re-COVID potentially, but on the other is good because there are two parts of the economy that really need support. But I felt everyone we saw, both the public and the venues we went to, I think they were all incredibly cautious and responsible in their COVID.
Yeah, they really were. Like shops, you had to wear a mask.
More than London.
It was really strange because when I was thinking back to the first day when we got there, and it was a horrendous 9-hour drive. Don't know how Mark did it. I really don't. And we're never doing that again. We're always going to stop for a night somewhere, even if it's just camping. We're not doing that again. But and when I got there, I was so agitated. I was so stressed for the first day or so, and I was like, "Oh wow, why didn't we just?" In the end, once you've paid for this and you've paid for that, it's quicker to go abroad, and we could have been in the nice sun, and we could have. And I was really ungrateful. I just felt really ungrateful and
So
twisted up. And actually, over the few days, as I just started to calm down, and actually just did have enormous gratitude for where we were, and actually the incredible beauty of this country that we live in. My God Almighty! I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find beaches like the good beaches in Cornwall, like in many other countries. Actually, we've got a beautiful country here.
Well, you'll see probably in the vlog. I'm not too sure. We did do some vlogging, obviously, down there. Yeah, I mean, they said there were 7 bays, and we went searching. It's that terrible thing, isn't it? We were actually sitting on top of the best place. So it was one of those rare times. I like to get busy when I'm on holiday. I like to go places. I like to give you variety. I like to see things. But actually, what was good about this was we didn't do that. So
and it was interesting because Kiki loved it so
it was Kiki's
much.
birthday as well.
And she was like, well, you know, this is what we should do. Like every year, just do a holiday where we don't run around, where we just...
Yeah.
And so we did. We didn't do sightseeing. We weren't constantly looking for the next best restaurant or the next best this. We just kept it really simple. Sandwiches every day on the beach. And then most nights we ate like rustic stuff, didn't we? Or just cooked at home. And it was just simple and it was lovely.
And in fact, we didn't go to any we went to very sort of off the beaten track, cheap, independent traders type places. So you'll see them in the vlog. I don't want to preempt that. But Gabrielle, does everyone else feel like people are rushing back to pre-pandemic life? Does that feel too much? I know what you mean. It's why I've been so cautious and resistant to the whole idea of going abroad. I don't know why. I think what with climate change, what with the sensibility of the country, what with the of autumn, I think, yes, there is that. And I do think it's something that's a cause for concern. And I do think people need to be respectful. I've said it many times, haven't I? Respectful of those who don't want to go at the same pace.
I'm cautious.
Yeah. And I think,
feel cautious. You know, I don't want to... I'm still... I've got anxiety about getting on busy trains and all that sort of stuff. I really want to stop going into work in a car. I just want to get back on the train. It just feels like when you're sitting there in a car for like an hour and 50 and it's just pumping out exhaust and you're thinking, because we are so, all of us, aren't we, so worried about the planet and everything. And I'm thinking, then I think if I've got to get on the train and the Delta variant, so it's just, we're all sort of a bit torn with it.
There's a filmmaker, I've forgotten his surname, his first name is Mark, and he directed a film called Bait, which was a hit from Cornwall. And the only reason I'm mentioning this was it was a very interesting film, and he's an ardent Cornishman and Cornish filmmaker, very protective of Cornwall, and very concerned about the way in which people have bought up so many second homes, that the indigenous industries are going. And this is all stuff that I agree with, and I have my own concerns. And of course, it's that terrible thing that when you go on holiday to somewhere like that, you're kind of part of the problem.
It all.
You are part of the problem.
But then they need us because they're broke. Cornwall is a really struggles as a county without tourism.
But
it's really hard for them.
He posted something really funny on Twitter, which was, well, funny as in darkly funny, saying that there was a new COVID variant in Cornwall called the A30, which of course is the road that runs through it.
But I didn't feel like that because I suppose if you're squishing yourself into a pub, all the restaurants were part of them, because we tried to book some restaurants and everywhere says fully booked. But when you see them, there's honestly, they're at like 25, 30% capacity. And I think it's because they're keeping the social distancing and also because they're just so short on staff. So I didn't see anywhere crammed inside. So lots of queues for ice cream.
And I think everyone was being responsible. Ellie, we haven't watched Vigil. This is the new BBC series.
Oh, morning, Lee. Missed you.
This is the new BBC series. Oh, Lee, is that Lee? You're Lee.
Lee.
Oh, Lee, hello.
I'm thinking about you a lot yesterday.
I'm a broken man after Manchester Pride weekend. Oh, I see. Broken.
Looked good.
Broken as in had too good a time, maybe?
Too good a time. We were watching a first date yesterday and there was somebody on it that was so like you, we just couldn't believe it. He was charming, good looking,
it was
funny.
everything you want in a man.
Slightly camp.
Yeah, he was lovely. So is Lee. I hope you're well, Lee. Jackie Vellino, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Zoe Griffith says hi to Lee. Lots of highs to Lee's. Everyone give a high five to Lee. Look, Natasha Tiramos says, will you be watching Married at First Sight? It's just started on E4.
Oh, we couldn't find it, Natasha.
Me and Kiki were frantically going through the TV schedules and we couldn't find it. It's on E4.
E4. And me and Lee will do a live soon on Instagram together.
Yeah.
We've missed Lee, haven't we?
Janice Muir, less than half are wearing their masks in the shops up here in Scotland, hence the numbers are skyrocketing. You're going to say what I wanted to say it.
but they're not skyrocketing in the hospital. And
Oh, no,
people that
that's not
are
what I
going
thought
into
you were gonna say.
hospital are coming out a lot quicker, like within 24 hours, the average person that's going in. Did you know that? And also, great article in the Times today.
Well, no, I wasn't going to talk about that. Infected, protected. But here's something that when I was listening to some of the limited news I was listening to whilst away. Yes, the number of cases are going up. But surely, if the number of cases goes stratospherically high, but there's not a massive increase in deaths and serious hospital illnesses, that's good news in the longer arc. Not obviously not for the people who are ill, but in the longer arc and development of the disease. How can that be presented as bad news? It means more people are getting it and more people are surviving.
And people are surviving and people aren't getting ill, which means the vaccine is working, because don't forget, you still can get COVID with the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, and
But
on
you
that
just
point,
don't get very ill with it.
Yeah.
Some will, but...
and on that point, I just wanted to. Where's the story?
Thank you, Jackie Vellino. Jackie
The
Vellino
time-
says we both look very well
Oh,
and
thank you.
refreshed. We feel it.
Past COVID, basically a report in the Times saying something that we've kind of, and a number of people have had a hunch about for a while, which is if you've had COVID-19, it gives you more protection than any of the vaccines being double vaccinated against the Delta variant.
This is right. There's got to be a key here with this. They have got to start antibody testing people, and people that have had it shouldn't be having the vaccines because we're short on vaccines for the world.
I've been saying this all along.
And you know, we're in a real quandary with this with Maddie because Maddie's had it, you know, and she's got long COVID. And it's you had it, didn't you, Lee? You've had your vaccine. But also there was talk ages ago about if you've had COVID, why don't we just have one vaccine? I know some scientists were talking about that. I mean, think about what that would save us and what it would mean for people in other countries that are still desperate for these vaccines. They're not cheap.
No.
You know, these Pfizer vaccines aren't cheap. It's not like, oh yeah, let's all just keep on having boosters. It's millions and millions and millions and squillions of quid.
Do you know what I think
Every
they
time
should
we
do?
have a booster.
I wonder whether they could not retrofit the app so that everyone's tested based on their antibodies. And
Yeah.
you perhaps have, you know, a little bit like when you go onto your Fitbit app and it gives you a fluctuating heart rate. You get your fluctuating antibody
Oh, look
rate.
at that. Jen Legg says, if you have a test and get positive, you can opt for antibody
Oh, right.
test
Well, that's
too.
good. But I mean, the point being here, because obviously there'll be some people therefore saying, which I think is a bit simplistic, oh, then everyone should get it. But that doesn't acknowledge the vulnerable, you know, people with underlying conditions, you know,
Yeah.
people with immunosuppressant issues and all, and the severely elderly who couldn't cope with the vaccine. What you don't do is say everyone get it and there's just collateral damage.
I mean-
but what you do is you say, as you said, it just requires a little bit more effort rather than the billions spent on a track and trace system that didn't work, a little bit more effort to just say, have you had it? Let's test your antibodies
But
first.
to be fair, it's all very easy for us to sit here and say this. They didn't know that. And if the evidence is now coming out on that, because they didn't know whether it would protect you against the Delta
No, they
variant.
didn't. But do you remember one of the
if
very...
they do know now, why don't they keep, you know, why doesn't that become part of...
Why
the
did
plan?
Boris, in virtually his first ever press conference, why did he talk about an antibodies test right at the beginning?
Do you remember
and then
he
it
bought millions
disappeared?
of them? He bought millions of them.
But he talked about
We
that
were
before
so
the vaccine.
excited. Yes, but then it all fell to pieces because they bought them and they came and they were all infected. Do you remember? Millions of pounds those first antibodies tests.
But I think that's the way forward. I do
But
think
he
it's an
said,
interesting
he
story.
did, he said, that's the key to the way out of this puzzle is the antibody test. I remember that was the exact sentence he said because I remember saying to the girls, we've got these antibody tests coming, it's going to be okay. And of course it wasn't.
Well, anyway, so this survey of people who've had COVID and people who've had double vaccines and all that stuff has been conducted in Israel, which has one of the highest vaccination rates. But yeah, so there is proof, there is real world proof that if you've had it, not in all cases, but if you've had it, it can offer more protection against the Delta variant than being fully vaccinated against the disease. And I think this...
Well, this is what I believe in anyway, because
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
but
a
this is
holistic,
like with like,
homeopathic
isn't it?
person.
This is like with like. And I do think it just means, once again, you know, the thing we often say on this channel, which is maybe go for the grey area, don't go for the kind of yes or no or the binary kind of, you know, ends of an argument. Maybe in the middle there, we don't need to knock everyone who says, is vaccines the only way forward? Are vaccines the only way forward? They are for most, but maybe not for people who've already had it. I just think, again, let's just stay calmer. in our discussions.
Vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D, 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 D.
So that's it. Oh, look at this. What's your favourite takeaway, guys? What is your favourite takeaway? It could be a brand, it could be KFC, it could be a type of takeaway, kebab, curry. What is your favourite? What's your favourite takeaway?
Oh,
if you
so
grab
depends.
for a takeaway of choice.
It's so dependent. I do like a Friday night Chinese or a Saturday night Chinese. There's something celebratory about a Chinese because I always have duck and pancakes.
Right. A
But
lot of
then-
Thai coming through here.
I love Thai. That's more of a midweek for me, Thai.
Right.
And then beginning of the week would be more like a Turkish because I'm trying to be healthier. at
Jenny
the beginning
Holland
of the
likes a Turkish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susan Reed likes a Papa John's. Arms, Jams, Domino's. Fish and chips every time, Dawn Claricoats. Ross
week. Oh,
Dominic Indian.
really? I can only do fish and chips once a year. Do you know, all I wanted in Cornwall was a thing of fish and chips. Nobody else wanted
Hang on a
it.
minute. I went and queued and
No,
was
I know.
told to then get
no, but
cash.
nobody really wanted it.
I was going to
But
take.
I really,
I used to
really
love
wanted
fish and chips, and I've become so bored of them because they all taste the same. Lee says Italian or sushi.
Course.
Sushi for me. Sushi for me.
Of course it would be with you, Lee.
I love sushi. Curry,
You can't
Indian,
get an Italian takeaway.
pizza.
Yeah, but that's not Italian.
That's true. No one does pasta delivery, do they?
No, you don't get a pollo sorpresa
Pardon? Is that it?
pollo sorpresa or, you know, what you think of as Italian food,
Yeah.
like a risotto, or you wouldn't get anything like that.
I get so
And
frustrated.
you can't include pizza with pineapple and everything on it.
Yeah, I get so frustrated though that fish in batter just doesn't taste like fish. It just tastes of batter. I don't understand the fish and chips thing. I really don't. I really don't get it. So what's the story? Well, the story today is that we all thought that post-COVID, everyone would be rushing back to the restaurants, wouldn't they? No. Taste for takeaways is outlasting COVID lockdowns.
Because the restaurants have become so expensive and the portions so small.
Yeah, during lockdown, there was a surge in demand for takeaways and home deliveries, as well as the traditional pizza or curry. It was easy to have other favourite dishes delivered too. You were saying that Rick Stein even, and some sort of high-end kind of restaurants were delivering stuff.
All the high-end restaurants were.
Yeah,
And
but-
they're the kind of these, you know, you get everything all chopped up in little pots and stuff, and then you make it.
Yeah. Well, an accountancy firm, KPMG, have done a survey, and it says that nearly a quarter of people are spending more on takeaways and food deliveries now than before the pandemic. So that's a huge move. That's a quarter of people have moved to takeaway.
We've spent far too much money on takeaways over the pandemic, and we
Yeah.
are stopping.
We are
because we
stopping.
had a big proper chat, didn't we, when we were away about
Yeah.
our health.
Yeah.
And takeaways have got to stop.
And I said just one more KFC.
I went to have an HRT test, right, blood test, to you know, just to look at my progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, and they took the wrong one and did my cholesterol, which I hadn't asked to have done, and they came back saying, I've not got very good cholesterol.
Well, they said, they didn't say that. They said you need to keep an eye on it.
They said it's higher than it should be.
Yeah, they did. You're right. I've just drawn on my
And they gave me what I have to do. And I have to exercise more and I have to lose weight.
Just gotta
Boring! And I always put on half a stone when I go to Cornwall. I've got some frozen pasties in the freezer.
Oh, shit. You can take them to your parents.
Listen, come on, we should get on with the news. Come on.
We're doing the news.
I'm thinking about pasties.
We're doing the news. We just talked about infected, protected, addicted to
sorry,
takeaways.
darling.
Okay, so that's a taste for takeaways. But guys, what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to eat out more? Do you want to eat at restaurants now? What's your feeling on that? Do you want to? I mean, I do feel like takeaways have become a bit boring now. They used to be a special exception, didn't they? But
We've
now
had them
they're-
too much.
Yeah.
That's why I think we should reduce it to once a month.
Yeah, if that.
You have sushi all the time. I'll often cook you something. Go.
I
"Can you
just like
order me
sushi. It's nice and simple. It's not hot. I'm not a
But do you
fan
know
of
how
hot
poisoned
food.
the fish is in the world?
I know. All right.
Oh.
Okay. Now I feel bad. Okay. Right. This is an interesting one. Online gaming. Now, I don't agree with an enormous amount that China decides on, but I think I kind of.
This is quite
There's something
extraordinary.
about this that's interesting. So, Chinese regulators have reduced the amount of time that online gamers can play that are under the age of 18, and they've reduced it to just an hour on Fridays, weekends, and holidays. The move is a
gonna have
response
a
to growing
huge
concern over gaming
problem.
addiction. But there was a quote by one of their news agencies or one of their news presenters or one of the channels there saying that online gaming is a spiritual opiate of the masses that needs to be stopped.
Really is. But you and I know to snatch away the drug of choice with no support around it, I find that really frightening. And honestly, guys, I'm not being over dramatic here, but say, for instance, when Mark stopped drinking for 2 years before he'd been to any kind of rehab or anything, I think he was the illest he's ever been in a way.
Yeah.
Because what you would do, the ism, the thing that drives you to be addicted to whatever it is, food, shopping, alcohol, gaming, is still there. So you've taken away the drug, and they call it white knuckling in rehab, where you're just literally hanging on because you're not medicating with that thing that you're medicating with. Now, we hear a lot about China and how difficult things are for young people there. And this will have been being used as a way to medicate themselves. Part of this gaming addiction is that. So to just snatch it away to some kids that might have been doing, which of course is really bad for you, 8-9 hours of gaming, we know what kids are like, and to just reduce them down to 1 hour. I mean, what do you think the ramifications could be with that, without any therapy around that or anything? How could they act out on that?
It's a bit of a blunt instrument, but I mean, I think if you're trying to, obviously they feel that, I mean, you know, it's a huge population, and they've obviously got a huge problem, and they're trying to use a sort of, I don't know, a mallet to crack a nut, aren't
Do you think
they?
it would have been better to gradually reduce it, like
maybe,
only 6 hours?
maybe
To take
over time, so
over
sort of
time,
decompression.
yeah.
I mean,
like we did here, where we slowly reduced sugar in certain foods.
just give us a yes or no answer. Do you know someone who you consider to be a problem gamer? Yes or no, if you think that you know someone who's a problem gamer. But look, here's an interesting perspective on it. Jamie Buck. Some of us don't have a family or much of one, and all we have is gaming. Because what people, I think what people forget about online gaming, well, there's quite a few people saying, yes, they do have problem gamers. Nicola Higgins, the release My Son Gets Gaming is irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable, Nicola, that's so interesting.
That's so interesting, because it's not just about the game, and this is something that's taken me a long time to get my head around, but it's a form of social connection. It's not just sitting there. I mean, I think a lot of people, adults, parents think, or you're just sat there. It's a huge international community. And
my nephew plays with people all around the world, and yeah, I think it's brutal what they've done, and I think they have got no idea the problems that's gonna cause them.
I agree. Look,
I think people will go mad.
Syl says, my brother is addicted to gaming, and I honestly feel it's ruined his life. He's 20 and has been gaming since 13. He doesn't understand he's addicted.
Addiction, no. But imagine if, Syl, suddenly somebody just said, right, it's just an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've done this sort of thing on Loose Women over the years, and, you know, had messages come in and people say that their children go violent because they're so desperate for that. It's a bit of a tinderbox, isn't it? Like right across the country.
It is, but it's really important to know that a lot of people who play these games aren't addicted to them. You know, they are a part of modern life, and it's only me says, and I think, I like this point. I've often said this about games, actually. I don't understand this. Video games can develop certain skills as well. If they were outside constantly kicking a ball, nobody would think twice about it. And if you think that they are engaging with people, they're also problem solving. It's not just shoot 'em ups. Yeah, a lot of them are just shoot 'em ups, but a lot of them are also problem solving, quite immersive, quite creative. Absolutely. I mean, there's professional gaming championships. Now, regardless of what we think about that and whether we take it seriously, it's a cultural shift, isn't it, for younger generations? So,
look at Emma.
Hi, Emma. My son stays up all night gaming. I can't get him to stop. 24, and he drives me mad.
Yeah, that's really hard, because that's, you know, you're moving into the area of, like, when it's costing you more than the game, like it's costing you your relationships, it's costing you your temper, maybe you're letting people down, you know, but then that's tipping into addiction, isn't it, Mark?
If absolutely. But I think you make a really valid point. I think if you just like really rigidly say 1 hour a day, that addiction, or that hole that addiction is filling, and that's not going to be an addiction for many kids, they'll go out and play. But, you know, that hole will
what are they going to
try and find something else to fixate on. So,
booze?
You know, it could be booze, yeah, it could be anything.
Drugs, you don't know.
You name it. So that's just intriguing, isn't it? It makes you think, and it's something that I think perhaps we could think about more here.
I do think it's what we see so often with the Chinese government, though, no actual understanding of how humans work.
Absolutely.
It's just
I totally
automaton.
agree. Obviously, whilst we were away, the Afghanistan story, just quickly, was massive. Nadia was reading a book.
I've been in a terrible state about this.
I think she's reviewing for the No Name Sunday
Oh
show
my God.
this weekend.
A
But
Thousand Suns, if anyone wants to read it.
Yeah.
To really get into what it's actually like to be under the Taliban, or to be a woman in Afghanistan. It's a brilliant, brilliant book.
I mean, and obviously so much has come to pass in the last just week to 10 days, and we're not going to try and talk about all of that. Suffice it to say, the whole thing just leaves a really nasty taste in everyone's mouths. I've had my perception of Biden severely tested, and you just end up thinking, and I noticed someone just asking, should he be impeached? I don't know about that, but I think there are pressures within the Republican side of things that if they do well in the midterm elections, they will seek some kind of impeachment against him for dereliction of duty. But what, as part of the story that's developed over the last 24 hours, is that the UK and US, I mean, we could be at the worst place in our relationship with America that we've ever been. Because they're in a blame game, the UK and the US, over who left the gate open or who was manning the gate.
Scary, isn't it?
And the US are blaming the UK for having pressured them to keep the gate open for British troops to get their people out. And in that process, one of the suicide bombers sadly led to that massive loss of life. But again, it's less about the details. It's just more about the fact that when you see headlines like Dominic Raab hitting back at Pentagon claims, this must be playing into the hands of Putin, China, and everywhere else beautifully.
We have to be really honest here. Now, first of all, it's like James O'Brien was saying today, this whole thing slipped through because with Trump. Really, there should have been outcry with what Trump agreed to. So first and foremost, that was just a dire situation. But because we were all tied up with Brexit and pandemics and everything, because I think it was a Brexit, I can't remember when he did it. But anyway, in the first instance, how was that allowed? People that were deemed too dangerous to breathe our air were suddenly being handed back the keys. But anyway, so that was the first problem. But what Biden has done since, now, if this was Trump behaving like this, let's be honest, we would be saying that Trump needs to be seen by the doctor, Biden needs to be seen by the doctors.
Yeah.
Because he is bumbling around, he loses his thread. Now, that could just be that he's old and he's tired. But personally, I just feel like his eyes look dead. He doesn't look right. Don't you think?
Whilst you carry on, can I just ask, do you feel Biden's dropped the ball, yes or no? Do you think Biden's dropped the ball,
I do,
yes or
but
no?
I don't think Biden's very well. And we wouldn't hesitate to say it if it was Trump. Just because we wanted him in. We've got to,
No, I agree. I mean, we did want him in. And I'm slightly concerned that Kamala Harris is so quiet at the back.
Why is she so quiet?
Well, if I was him, and this is what leads me to think maybe he is all right, because in any shape or form, you would push forward an incredibly competent, capable vice president.
Well, maybe you don't know what's going on, do you?
Look, everyone is saying yes. He's dropped the ball. Yes.
He's massively dropped the ball, but don't you think that there might be something wrong with his brain?
Yeah.
And maybe, we don't know, maybe the Democrats are circling now to have him tested, because of course Kamala Harris would immediately step in as president.
They got Trump tested. Do you remember there was all that?
Yeah, but his own doctor.
But my point is you're right. There's a kind of it's not particularly equal, is it? Because there was a huge outcry because he wouldn't get tested and he was choosing his. We haven't even heard whether Biden's been tested.
Well, he would have had to be when he took office.
Yeah.
But in that strange moment when he had his head in his hands.
Well, that moment for me, when he had his head in his hands, I mean, he didn't just have his head in his hands. He had a sort of file like that, and he just leant on it. Now, two things I felt there. One was extraordinary concern that the leader of the free world rested his head for what amounted to almost 20 seconds. But then another part of me wanted to give him a hug because I felt really sorry for him.
I feel like he's got dementia. I mean, you shouldn't say that because we're not doctors and stuff. But that's what I feel when I look at him. I feel like the light has just dimmed down. He's got very angry. He's getting angry with people in a way that isn't very Biden-like. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Kamala will have to step forward.
What's that, Reese Roberts? Hi, Reese. Hope you're well. Reese Roberts says, yeah, and I think all the plastic surgery he did around 2016-17 after Obama and the beginning of Trump has had a dramatic impact on his health and offset other ailments. Plastic surgery?
Mark, you don't think he's not... Can you not tell he's had plastic surgery?
Biden?
Yeah, look at his eyes. He's like this. I don't think he can close them at night.
What, like Liberace?
He's had them lifted so much, I don't think
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
It's too much for him, exactly, turbo. It's too much for him. It's all too much for him.
Yeah. He's definitely not coming.
Just a moment, right. Who can guess what Mark calls me in these glasses?
Well, when I
These
said
are my
it,
new glasses.
When I said it, Kiki roared with laughter because she felt it was
These
so
are my
accurate.
new glasses. Do you love them or do you hate them? Be honest. What? Try and guess who Mark said I look like in these.
Not Deirdre, Hilary.
No, not Deirdre. It's definitely not Deirdre.
The man from Up, Lucy Kitson.
Harry Hill.
Up guy, Gemma Johnson. The man from Up, Lucy Kitson.
Librarian.
I also said Joe 90. Get a
Yeah,
photo
she
of
said
Joe
Joe
90 up.
90.
Get a photo of Joe 90 up.
But I've got
Bit
them.
big,
and they were
Eric
quite
Wise,
expensive.
Ernie Wise.
And now I hate wearing them because he says I look like the man from
Hang
Up.
on. I look like an idiot.
No, I really like you in those ones. Those are the ones I need. I want these. But I've already paid for them.
Oh my God. That's like immediately being drunk. Hang on.
Let me see them on you.
I can't see anything.
You do look like a media wanker.
Oh my God, I am a media wanker. What do you mean?
Okay.
Ronnie Barker, you look like Ronnie. Okay, final couple of stories. Heathrow Airport, 4-hour waits.
Oh, they keep saying
Should
this.
people be surprised though?
Oh my God, I don't want to do this story.
Should
I'm
people
bored
be
of
surprised?
this.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
but
not
it just
doing
goes back to the whole idea that why are people surprised?
But hang on a minute, and don't just shut me up on this because it's really weird the way you won't hear this. I know at least 10 people that have been away this year, this summer, and nobody has had a long wait at the airport. Nobody. The media again are choosing areas and places to photograph because they just want the bloody drama all the time. If I know 10 people that have gone to different parts of the world and none of them have experienced this that we're being told all the time.
Are any of these people who are experiencing no problems perhaps people who have a
Yeah, I
vested
know what you're
interest in
gonna
there
say.
being no
I
problems?
know what you're going to say. It's really weird. It's really, really wrong of you, Mark, that you won't hear another opinion on this.
I just
Because
think...
you've decided, because it suits you,
No.
because you're angry with the world going back after post-pandemic.
No, I'm angry.
And you
I
don't
am-
want to go away,
I
so
think
you
it's-
just constantly keep going with
No,
this story. And
I
I
think-
keep telling you, I know so many people that this hasn't happened
I
to.
personally think in this year, if you couldn't not go abroad by flight, there's something wrong with you. I personally think that
No,
if you...
okay, well, that's a separate story.
Yeah,
the
but that's not
point
why I
is
want this
the
story to be
point
true.
It is.
No, it's
It
not.
is a bit.
I
but
find
the thing
it-
is,
I
I
find
don't
it-
think anyone. Look, airports have been quiet when I've been away.
Okay, I'm just
this
reporting.
is all I've heard.
I'm reporting the story that all the papers are saying that
but
yesterday there were 3-hour
I
waits.
keep trying to tell you there is something going on with the media in that because it's a good story, like bad weather.
Yeah.
The Brits love to hear about a packed airport like that, and it's like I really noticed the Britishness of you
Are
and
they-
your mum and your nan when it's like whenever we go anywhere, it's like, wow, the car parks we won't have change. It's a very British thing, and
What
the
are you
point.
saying?
It's like
Most people here are British.
parking weather, and airports.
Oh, isn't that a put down of an
No, it's not
extraordinarily
British.
subtle?
No, I'm genuinely.
Very British. I mean,
No,
I'm not at all.
No, it's a difference. It's a cultural difference.
Sarah Jane asks, are they flying first class or bypassing the queue perhaps?
Nobody is flying. I know is flying first class. Zoe's
There you
just
go.
said it. Zoe,
No,
you
no,
don't fly
Look,
first
but
class.
Zoe,
do you?
I presume you're talking about flying to Northern Ireland. I think internal flights are deserted, and there are all sorts of flights landing at Newquay and all that kind of stuff. I just, my concern, I suppose I don't want that. Hang on. Let me
Cyprus,
qualify.
No queues, Heathrow.
Let
I
me-
just keep hearing.
But that's
no
great,
queues.
but that's
It
great.
interests me
There's-
that the media want this narrative.
No, I agree.
desperately.
But my point about it is, great if there are no queues. Brilliant. I take your point. The media are always interested in the worst case. But when those queues happen, I don't think anyone can be surprised.
and
That's
I
my
agree
point.
with that.
That's my point.
Like if we were gonna go away this year, I said I will expect 8 hours waiting around because I think
Yeah,
you have to
that's
pay
what I
the
mean.
price of going away. I will expect it. I'll download films onto my phone. I'll get a couple of books. I'll find a corner. I'll sit down in it and I'll do it. And I will not be outraged. I
Yeah.
won't be posting about it because it's just what you have to expect. But it's just weird that nobody I know has had that experience.
Well, Bella M has. My friend had a 5-hour wait, Nadia, at Heathrow. Lucy R, I had a long wait at Manchester.
Yeah, I love the way you missed out Natasha Milchin.
No, and also Faith Goodman. Some of my family had a long wait at London Heathrow in July, but they expected it. I didn't miss out, Natasha. You've talked extremely eloquently about how many people haven't had a delay. So I'm just saying, for as many people that have, there are as many people who haven't. My point about the story is, like you've just said, I agree. If you go not expecting a delay, it's crazy.
Silly. It's silly. You've got. But you know what? Bloody hell! I don't think we've ever gone away without a horrendous delay.
True.
Do you remember the time we went to bloody, where was it?
I don't know, but you're
Greece,
right. Everywhere.
The year before.
Yeah.
We were delayed so long that they gave away our hire car.
Yeah. What about?
You remember because you saw it in the vlog.
Check out a couple in Berlin. That was about a day.
That was a day.
Yeah.
So I basically always expect a long delay at an airport. Guys, hit the thumbs up. 700 of you watching it. Have you not missed us?
And very quickly, you've got an extra 5 minutes from us because it's the first time back. Just wanted to get your feeling on the pen farthing and his pets story. We listened to this on the long drive up. A lot of people, most people supporting pen farthing because a lot of people, it's pets versus people.
That's the way the headlines.
That's the way the headlines and the media are sort of presenting it. What do you think, guys? Has pen farthing has done a good thing or a bad thing? Is it good or bad? I mean, it's not a binary story actually, because when you dig into it, it's very different. It really isn't. I don't think it's a false sort of comparison. Pets versus people. It's not. Good.
Yeah, the Greek shit they're remembering.
Yeah.
He's somebody that worked with him did a very impassioned speech on the radio to Rachel Johnston, just explaining that it just was not as simple as the papers were portraying it. That all the animals were in the hold, that they were desperately trying to fill the seats with people, and actually there was all kinds of bureaucracy that had got in the way of that. But the moment, because I was definitely straight off, well, you can't put people over animals. But when he spoke the way that he did about these veteran animals, because they've all been in the service, haven't they? They've all been in, and what they mean to the. Was it the
veterans and the servicemen out there?
Yeah, and to the families. Do you remember he talked about the families and what these animals meant to people? Oh my God! I mean, he nearly had us in tears, didn't he? Really made us rethink. And we were all in that car going, God, we always jump to judge, don't we? But you never know the backstory.
But the press really wants to keep sort of
because he's swearing and shouting on the phone. Do people not understand? He was in the most terrifying war zone and he was trying to get things done. I would have been like, for fuck's sake.
I don't mind him swearing. The fact that he's had to come out and apologise
all they've gone
ludicrous.
On about is the fact that he swore. Jesus God, if they ever heard us having a row.
Yeah, but it's a totally fraudulent comparison or opposition to say pets versus people, because the pets went in a part of the plane that people couldn't. There ends the argument, because like someone else said, interestingly, some planes were going out with no people on them but an awful lot of toilet roll. I mean, some planes were going out with food.
And they
some
were
planes
in
were
the
going
hold.
Out with goods.
No human can go in the hold.
Yeah.
Thank you, Faith. Exactly.
And so when he didn't take people, he tried to take people. Those people he couldn't get through.
Because the Americans had changed their
visa requirement. Biden had changed the visa requirements. So I said to Naj, having just talked about horrendous situations at airports, imagine being one of the Afghanistanis that the British government, to be fair, had said, yes, you can come. But because Biden had issued a new super duper visa, all of the Taliban was saying, we only listen to Biden. We're only looking at Biden.
So people had these visas to leave, to get on that plane with the animals, and they weren't allowed because Biden had moved the bloody goalposts.
Yeah. So it really isn't a straight comparison. But anyway, guys, I think we've got a birthday. Deborah Holdsworth.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Deborah. Happy birthday to you. And to Ali.
Ali.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ali. Happy birthday to you.
Hit the like icon or the like button beneath Nadia's breasts. I don't know where it appears on your screen, but it's just beneath
This
her
one.
right breast at the moment, or left breast. If you haven't, do check out our members area. Sunday show will be landing again this Sunday. Members' lives will be coming with the opportunity of new cards. So everyone's in with a chance of winning a card again.
Yeah, and if you want
or
to join the
cardigan.
members area, there's a little box under this screen where you can click and it will take you through, and it's 50p a week and you get extra content.
And of course, if you join and it's during the week and you're not on a live, just let us know on a live and Nadia will destroy your name in song.
I'll sing you a welcome
Yeah.
song.
Okay? And listen,
Lots of love.
would you all like to wish Kiki a happy birthday? Because she's now 14.
No,
What?
she won't like it.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't like a fuss being made.
Don't make a
Don't
fuss.
wish her happy
Don't say anything. All right, guys. Lots of love. See you on the morrow.